Peace. Um, Today I just wanted to do a video, you know, talking about the energies of Ogun. As we know, we're seeing, across the world where there's a lot of, police brutality, a lot of violence, a lot of rage, out of the hands of the ones that's in authority, and they're misusing of their power. And I was observing some of the information that was on the media talking about the different situations that we're seeing of police violence and not getting enough justice. And I was just realizing we in the month of April, and April is the month of the zodiac sign of Aries. The sun is in Aries, and of course, Aries is associated with the planet Mars. And when we're in that particular energy, a lot of violence, a lot of rage, a lot of temperaments is boiling over. And what came to me is that right now we're in the season of Ogun. A lot of people are losing their lives in the hands of guns, of violence. And, I was just sitting with it, and it's really, from my observation, Ogun is speaking, right? So, you know, who is Ogun? What is Ogun? And a lot of, what is Ogun? And, Ogun is one of the first, Orishas that have been descended on Earth, you know, um, particularly in the forests, in the woods, And he's one of the oldest Orishas, that actually descended on Earth, and he was working. And Ogun sacrificed his time to live. They would say he's the jungle man. He lived out in the jungle to build, to move things out the way, to paving the way for civilization. They say that Ogun sacrificed humanity to build. You know, um, Ogun is associated with Saint Peter. When it comes to the Catholic religion, um, in the Hebrew context, he would be called Archangel Shamiel, which is dealing with courage and war. And right now we're in that energy of warfare. And when the energies is hot like that, you want to be aware of your temperament, aware of unresolved issues and anger. So I was just sitting down thinking about Ogun, and what message is Ogun trying to get across to us. And you know this is a time where we have to really um, secure our families, secure our friends, and really be mindful of our surroundings. You know, when you think about Ogun, the god of iron, the god of justice, the god of uh, um, removing of obstacles. You understand? And at this time, is needed. We're dealing with a lot of situations and a lot of times people look at with Ogun, they say he's over the military, he's over the police force, and then a lot of times, well, people would say, I've heard people say, well, if if you know law enforcement or if people that's in authority, why come Ogun doesn't deal with the situation? The thing is, um, Ogun is actually particularly dealing with the right hand path, you know, doing good. But right now we're dealing with the mismanagement of his power. Ogun is a very serious and powerful energy, and if it's mishandled incorrectly, there can be harsh consequences of dealing with his energy. And it's only a matter of time when those energies that's being used wrongful wrongfully, there's going to be harsh consequences of the energies of Ogun. You know, when you're thinking about the elements of metal, you have iron, right? And you have, the elements of metal, the irons of steel. You know, metal can, the positive aspect of metal, it can be used for healing. That's to say if someone may need surgery or they may have a splinter or they may have something that's inflicting pain on them. You go to the doctor, if you're on an operating table, they can use a scalpel to remove any disease or any affliction that can cause pain. And in time, you recover, which you will be brings healing. You know, it also can bring prosperity as well. You have some workers who works uh, um, doing the construction or iron workers. You know, um, Using tools to build a foundation. You know what I'm saying? And it brings you money. You know, the work field is Ogun. Even with technology, you have people who work on computers. You know, that's the spirit of Ogun. Um, it also can bring protection as well. You know, firearms, knives, swords. You know, when you're in a position where you have to defend yourself or to keep intruders out of your home or somewhere aware where someone is trying to cause harm, it can bring you protection, right? The negative side, it can bring sickness. It can bring tragedies, and it also can bring death. So, what I'm saying is that it has its positive and it has its negative. If it's being used wrong, it can cause catastrophic situations that you may not able to get yourself out of. Working with Ogun, a lot of us know that his number is 7 and it's also number 3. Um, his brothers are Eshu and Oshosi. They all work together, right? Um, but dealing with Ogun, he is the Orisha who moves obstacles out your way. He opened up doors of whatever that been oppressed. He able to break those doors down. Move the mover of obstacles. He's a healer. Um, he's a protector, and he's an herbalist as well. But when you're dealing with the spirit of Ogun, he deals with the heart chakra as well. So, um, working on your heart chakra or your heart center, he's also over the heart. The blood flow. Iron is in the blood as well. But when you're dealing with the spirit of Ogun, you know, your intentions have to be right because he can be a strict discipliner. uh, what are some of I know a lot of what are some of the implements of Gun? Iron, steel. Um, he's also um, working with Ogun as well. He also can help you with fear if you're fearful to give you courage. You know, work going into the woods. He likes cigars, rum, um, plankton, um, mangoes. Those are some of rooster, not rooster, but um, dog. But being that we live in the United States, they have the SPCA. You don't want to fat sacrifice no dog. And at the same time, dealing with being that we in a situation where the energy is hot, you want to kind of astray from using blood or anything that's hot because the energy is really vital and it's hot right now. So you want to use elements of cool things like watermelon, melons, plankton, things that bring coolness. So, but I was just looking at what's going on in media, and we're seeing a lot of police brutality, and I was just hearing that voice. I'm like, okay, this is the energy of Ogun, you know, and okay, I'm back. And where was I? What was I talking about? The energy of Ogun. Um, what are some of the things that you can do? A lot of people want to work with Ogun. Um, some of the implements that you can do working with Ogun, going to the railroad track, um, bringing a cigar, some rum, fruits. You could do it in 3 or you can do 7. Um, and really, Ogun's more so of a quieter Orisha. He doesn't talk as much, but he listens. And anything that you ask or petition him, you know, he's able to help you in opposition. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of oppression. So he's the remover of obstacles. There's a thing that they say about Ogun. If there's a wall in front of him, and on the left or the right side of him, maybe a way you can go over the wall, he rather break through the wall instead of going around it. And what I get out of that is dealing with the situations that's presented in front of you, not uh, pussyfooting over the situation, dealing with the situation head on. hmm And a lot of times when you have oppositions or you have a wall in your way, a lot of times people like to ignore it or try to go around it. And the thing is, when a goon uses tool to break down the opposition, what he realized is if he don't deal with the situation in the beginning, on his journey on the path, he will be faced with that same wall. So when you have an oppositions in front of you, you want to observe it and have the right tools to break down that wall. Now, a lot of people say, well, okay, if a wall is in front of me, right, or the opposition is in front of me, and I break down that wall, another one may come. But if you learn from the beginning of that wall that's in front of you, you will have the skill and knowledge to break down the next wall that's in front of you. Okay, so I'm not going to be too long. I want to just give a few things that you can do working with Ogun. Like I was saying, you can have a cigar, you can have rum. If you're going to a railroad track, um, you can blow the cigar smoke and you 3 times, or you can spray rum 3 times on the railroad track. Also, if you're walking on the railroad and you may see, excuse me, you may see some railroad spikes. What you can do is, if you have it, you can spray some cigar smoke on the railroad spikes, and you can spray rum. What I like to do when I'm out there, I like to get some railroad spikes, which I have here, and what I like to do, I like to hit it 3 times and call it Ogun. When you do that, a lot of times I like to use the 4 cardinals. So I will go north, Ogun, Ogun, Ogun. And in doing that, you're calling on the energy of Ogun. You're evoking the energy of Ogun, and you're getting the attention of Ogun. And when his energy is there, you know, you may get your hair may stick up, or you may feel this energy around you. And when he's present, you speak to him. You don't have to be there long. You can be like, I'm here, and I want to give you some cigar smoke. I want to give you rum, and you may ask him, to move an obstacle or open up a job for you. You know what I'm saying? You can do that when you're working with the spirit of Ogun. And if you can find the same railroad spikes I just showed, if you can find 3 of them, ask him to have his blessings to take those 3 railroad spikes with you. Now, once you leave your offerings and you finish talking with Ogun, you want to then take those items. You can go home and you want to prepare a bath. Uh, what I like to use personally when I do a bath, I like to use a particular herb. I like to use rosemary and eucalyptus. Those two give a sense of protection. Rosemary, eucalyptus. I like to use tobacco water, or it's this particular tobacco cologne. I would pick. Well, what I would do, I would get like a pail. But if I could find a pail that's metal or aluminum, I like to use that particular bowl or pail. And I add water in it, and I add, I boil, you know, the eucalyptus and the rosemary. Then I would take 3 drops of the tobacco cologne, put it in. I would get some gin or some rum, and I may pour a little bit in it. I would use that, and with those railroad spikes, I would do the same thing. When I do it, I would take these railroad spikes and I would hit it north, south, east, and west. And I would hit it 3 times, and I will call on Ogun. So when you hit it 3 times and you say Ogun, 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 you have 4 cardinals, right? You're hitting it 3 times. which would give you 4 times of that element. When you're hitting it 3 times, 3 times 4 is 12, which is 3. Okay. Now, once you do that, you want to take those railroad spikes and you want to wash it inside that pail. And what you're doing is you're getting the rust off the railroad spikes and it's inside your water. A lot of times people use it for war water, but you also can use it, as a sense of protection. Now, once you do that, you can get a penny green candle. I don't want to say a 7 day candle because you're not going to wait 7 days to take, a bath. What this bath going to do is remove obstacles and it's also going to give protection. Okay. Once you do that, you know, if you want to get a little fancy, you can get the green full color dye and put a few drops in it to give it that green because his colors are green and black. In different traditions, it will be green and red, but in the Western, in America, is green and black, depending on what pantheon of Ogun. Okay, um, and also when you're going to take a shower, you want to clean yourself from the funk, from the dirt that you have. But once you do that, after you do your prayers and you ask for Ogun for whatever the situation is, but you want to base your prayer associated with what he does, protection, removing of obstacles. Okay. Um, if you feel led to deal with angels, Archangel Chamiel. If you deal with the Catholic religion, it would be it would be Saint Peter, or you use Ogun. Um, his elements is also uh, earth and fire. Um, some of his gems would be um, bloodstone and hematite. Um, you can use, matter of fact, you can actually put it in your water to activate it to have a high vibrational. Um, some of the offers you can give as well when at the railroad track, dragon's blood. You know, being that it takes us to dealing with the traditions how they use blood offerings for Ogun. You kind of want to stay away from it because there's a certain criteria and practice that you have to know on how to do that. But you can stay away from that and you can stick with the dragon's blood or the fruits. Dealing with the fruit. You can offer dragon's blood, or you can get the dragon's blood oil and put a few drops in that Ogun bath. Also, if you want to make an Ogun oil, you can use the eucalyptus and the rosemary. You can use olive oil or sunflower oil. Being that the sun is in Aries, you could use the sunflower. Well, the sunflower is represents masculinity. So the men, you can use sunflower oil, um, eucalyptus, rosemary. Get you a nice something that you can put a carrier oil, mix it together, and pray over it, and you have your Ogun oil. Or you can use olive oil. You can go that route. Oh, and also you can put a rock salt in it as well to give purity. What else? Those are different things you can do to protect yourself from the vital energy. With those railroad spikes, those 3 railroad spikes, what you can also do as well, once you clean it in the water and you're going to use that water as a bath, you also can use a cigar, rum. Um, I wouldn't say use the palm oil, but what you can do if you make your Ogun oil, you can actually anoint the railroad spikes. And what you can do with it, if people have vehicles, You can take the railroad spikes, have one in the driver's side, the passenger side, and have one inside the trunk of your car. And that will actually bring protection over your vehicle to avoid accidents. And it kind of remove the vital energy of law enforcement. That's just something I throw out there to protect you from uh, for those vital energies. Let me give a short story. A lot of times people say Ogun is a serious law, which he is. No, well, Ogun would be in the Nago Nation dealing with the voodoo, but when you're dealing with the Yoruba faith, Orisha Ogun, um, when you're dealing with Ogun, Orisha Ogun, where was I going with this? Where was I going? Where was I going with it? Yeah, short story. Dealing with Ogun, right? I know a lot of people say he's a very serious Orisha, which he is. I can remember one day, I was treating myself out. I got dressed. Had a new outfit on. I went to go get my hair cut. So when I went to go get my hair cut, came from the barber shop. I was getting ready to get me something to eat. So when I was in my car, I had all the windows down and my sunroof open. And I was driving. Had the music on, blasted. Just driving. This, what I'm saying? Just doing some TOC. This really taking care of me and this riding. It was a nice day out. It was like in between like 70 degrees. It was cool. The sun was out, and I was just vibing and I was driving, right? And when I was driving, um, the speed limit was like 45. The speed limit was 45 miles an hour. And when I was driving, listening to the music, feeling good, and I was driving. Next thing you know, when I look in the rearview mirror, there was a police officer behind me. And when I seen a police officer, immediately I look at my speed monitor, my speed, see what speed I was going, and I was going 65 miles an hour, you know, on a 45 speed limit. So when I did that, the first thing I did was took my foot off the brakes. If I would have put my foot on the brakes, that would have gave the police officer an indication to stop me. So next thing took my foot off the gas so my car could slow down. Next thing about time it was 65, it was like 60. The cop was behind me. He went into the right lane, and in my periphery, I was kind of like looking at him. He looked at me. Me and him was head and head, like speeding, right? Next thing you know, he slowed down and made a right turn. So when that happened, I'm like, wait a minute now. I could have got a ticket, right? I could have got a ticket that day, but in that short story, what I'm really saying, Ogun, he can be very loving, he can be very serious, and he can be very lenient. Being that I am the son of Ogun, you know, sometimes he can let things slide. But what I'm really saying is, dealing with his energy, he can be serious, but also he can be lenient on his children. You know, anybody, I would say, if you want to work with Ogun, you can. You just want to be serious about dealing with Ogun. Have the right intentions when dealing with the spirit of Ogun. Okay. Um, Another story, being that I'm the son of Ogun, I remember this was a dream. I had a dream that I met this. It was this. I was in my living room, and this guy was like dark skinned. He was like 6'8", 300 pound solid muscle, right? And he came to me. He picked me up, and when he picked me up, he was spinning me around. My foot was off the ground. I was like Superman. I'm like going around in a circle, and then after that, he picked me down. And then at first, I'm like, what the hell just happened here? Why? Why in the hell? This is what I was thinking in the dream. why in the hell this big burly man picked me up and swung me around? Now, as a male, I'm like, yo, what's that is about? But when I talked to Priestess all set, and me and her was talking, and then she said, "You the son of Ogun. You are his child." And a lot of times when dealing with spirits, being that you are the child of Orisha or Aloha, they would treat you as a child, right? But also he gave me some information that I that's between me and him. Um, he let me know that he loved me, and he let me know that I'm his son, I'm his child, you know, and he wants the best for me. So just to let a lot of people know, when you're protected, or when you are the child of the Orisha Aloas, they're always close, and they're always going to be there for you, through thick and thin. And you just have to be mindful, and you have to use your gift wisely. You have to use it, you got to have integrity. Remember, Ogun deals with the heart chakra, and he's gonna test your heart, you know. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick, dealing with the spirit of Ogun. Right now, we're in those energies of, Ogun. And right now, I would say this: when energies are being mishandled, those very energies that's being used will be used on them. Now, I'm not indicating violence. I'm not saying go against authority. But what I am saying is that, being that they're using the spirit of Ogun wrongfully, there is going to be a time when that energy will turn against them. You know, in the Christian faith, they say if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. This is Ogula Ra. Peace.